Have you done your New Year's resolutions yet? Are we already into the new year and have you already failed miserably? If I'm describing you in a nutshell, join the club. I'm Chief Unicorn Officer of the weirdos who have trouble doing resolutions. I say weirdos in the most loving way. Hi, I'm Emily, but you can call me Em. I'm a weirdo. I'm here to help you find your weird, acknowledge your weird, embrace your weird, and try to live a better life for yourself, owning what is yours. For many, many years, I've been on the struggle boat with New Year's resolutions, and I kind of think of things that I want to set as goals, and then I just don't complete them. Now, at the end of the year, when I'm reflecting back on the year, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, I didn't do this. Shoot, I feel like a freaking failure. Does that sound like you? We're gonna have a little chit chat about goal setting, and I hope that this is helpful for you. If it is, be sure to click that follow button. Give me a thumbs up, you know, the typical YouTube things. Much appreciated. If you're feeling pressured to do New Year's resolutions because you want 2026 to be a better year than 2025, you're not alone. And actually, psychology shows that we as people want to feel a sense of belonging. We want to feel included, including my kitty cat who's jingling her bell collar right now. We all want to feel this sense of belonging, this sense of inclusion, and we all jump on this feel-good train of let's do the thing, let's glow up, let's have the best year of our lives. And it gives us a little dopamine rush, especially once we start thinking about the things that we can do. I'm going to do a vision board, or I'm going to get this app where I'm going to do this, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to sign up for the gym, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. It's all fine and dandy, but the problem is psychology and research actually show that setting up New Year's resolutions can actually set yourself up for failure. Why? You let yourself off the hook. There's no true accountability. The accountability factor is where we all go wrong with New Year's resolutions or goals in general. If we look back on all the goals we set in the past, we gave ourselves the gym membership. And you say, okay, I'm going to work out 3 days a week. You sign up for the gym, you get a tracker, you do all the things that you think will set you up for success. But let's say Monday morning rolls around, that 5 a.m. alarm goes off, and you push the snooze button. So you think, okay, well, it's too early today, but I'll go this evening. But work goes crazy, life goes crazy, kids drive you crazy, dinner plans go awry, something happens, and you don't make it to the gym on Monday. Tuesday rolls around, and you're like, okay, I'll just go Tuesday. You do the same pattern, and you repeat it day in and day out until you realize at the end of the week, oh, I haven't even gone to the gym this week. Shoot. Well, this upcoming week's a new week. I have all these tools. I'm motivated. Let's go. I'm not going to waste my money. But patterns keep repeating themselves. We keep ourselves on the hook enough to feel guilty about not canceling the gym membership that we're clearly not using. But we still don't break the patterns of not going to the gym. What we do instead is we blame lack of time, lack of sleep, lack of motivation, whatever it is. We have something to blame. And sure, those things factor into everything. Are you going to wake up at 5 a.m. after you went to bed at 1? Probably not. I'm guilty of this myself. I said I was going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. I did that last year for a couple of months until I crashed and burned because I was not setting myself up to have a good sleep routine. I had horrible sleep hygiene. I was staying up super late, doing live chats on TikTok, and then trying to also get myself out of bed at 5 a.m. And I realized that's not doable. That's not plausible. One of those things has to give. And so I gave up on the 5 a.m. wake ups because I found TikTok live to be enjoyable. Plus, it's also a source of revenue for me. But I let myself off the hook with what I was trying to accomplish with those 5 a.m. wake ups by saying, okay, well, I have to go live at night because that's when I have the most audience, that's when I get the most gifts, blah, 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 blah. It removed that hook that was hanging me. It allowed me to just like slide off of it. Like, oh, well, I got this other thing and that's more important. So I'm reprioritizing. Sure, it's important to always prioritize, reflect, and pivot where needed. But we also have to hold ourselves accountable to the goals that we set and realize that if we let ourselves off the hook by blaming these factors, then we're truly never going to accomplish the goals that we want to. What happens is we keep this cycle of motivation going by shifting that blame onto something that isn't ourselves so we don't feel the guilt or the shame as much. We feel it enough that we're not canceling, we're not giving up, and we keep deferring that success for the future instead of owning it for today and owning the discipline and the rituals and the habits that'll make that a lasting change in our lives. I'm guilty of this for sure. I was doing so great with those 5 a.m. wake ups, and then slowly over time, new things started shifting in my life, and then I let it slide because I made the excuse of the lives are more important. And it is important. It's also important to recognize boundaries that you set for yourself so you can have success. It's not enough to have the tools. It's not enough to set aside time. You have to be disciplined enough to do it and hold yourself accountable. When we keep buying tools and blocking off time, research shows it gives us this sense of control. We as humans need control in our lives because it makes us feel safe from the stressors, from the things that give us grief in our lives. When we have control over some things in our lives, even when things are hectic, it keeps us grounded, it keeps the stress down, it keeps that cortisol level, the stress hormone that our body produces, it keeps those down a little bit. It gives us a sense of zen because we can control those aspects. Now, here's why I decided to not do New Year's resolutions. One, I think it's too jarring. We're coming out of the holidays. Indulge, okay? I'm not gonna lie. I like to indulge. I love cookies and cakes and candies and all the yummy things. I love my eggnog lattes, okay? I will drink an eggnog latte every day if my budget would allow for it. I might not be exercising as much, but I'm enjoying my life, okay? To go from enjoyment and another holiday on New Year's Eve to all of a sudden immediate flip of a switch saying, okay, all these patterns and habits and rituals of December leading into January 1st, so they're gone. And all of a sudden I have this new life, this new ritual, these habits that I'm supposed to just automatically switch over to. No. It's too jarring. It's too hard. Our brain is not hardwired to constantly flip that switch. When we self-impose stressful situations that are so jarring, that interrupt our very patterns, our rituals, our habits, their every day is completely flipped on its head, it's a lot. What you're doing is you're putting your whole brain, you're putting your whole system in a state of frenzy. You're taking away your stability. You're taking away control. You think you're giving yourself control by setting up all these routines, these time blocks, these tools to help you get through it. But at the end of the day, you're having to switch systems like bam, and you're expecting yourself to immediately adhere to these systems without practice, without time to adjust. I find that having small steps is quite necessary. The second reason why I don't like to start New Year's resolutions on New Year's is because I like to give myself time to plan, to think about what matters most to me. I like to have a reflection period. I like to plan goals to coincide with my birthday because it's my timeline. I'm not making goals to keep up with my friends, to keep up with other people. I'm setting goals for myself and around my life and the things that I want to achieve in the timeline that makes the most sense for me. So my birthday is February 10th. So guess when my goals and habits kind of start kicking in? February 10th. That is my reevaluation point where I now am in a new year and the goals that I'm setting for myself in that year are so specific to a timeline going from February to February. Specifically to give myself time to evaluate, to reflect, to plan, and to build systems and start implementing them. I don't just go cold turkey, quit everything on February 9th and expect February 10th to be that system switchover. What I do is I use that 6-week period from January to February 10th to start making the adjustments slow and steady. You've heard that expression, slow and steady wins the race, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. So you gotta pace yourself. That's how I think of how we should be approaching building the life that we want, having that glow up that we want. You can't just go to the gym and look at a dumbbell set and expect to be able to lift the heaviest set right off the bat. It's too much for your body. Your body builds muscle by tearing itself and it rebuilds on itself. If you start with the 100-pound set of dumbbells, you're gonna give yourself some major pain and your body's gonna have a really hard time adjusting to that. But if you start out small with 3-pound or 5-pound dumbbells per arm, then you're starting small. You're gonna feel the changes. You're gonna feel those little muscle tears. You're gonna feel that burn. And over time, you'll be able to adjust and increase your weight classes and eventually you'll go from 5 to 50. But it takes time. Your body needs that time to build, heal, adjust. It feels exciting and motivating to see where you want to be and just jump right into it. It's exciting, but then you're going to lose motivation quickly when you realize how hard it is. And it's supposed to be hard. We are supposed to challenge ourselves. Our brains are hardwired for hard things, but it's not hardwired for us to constantly strain ourselves and stress ourselves to a point that puts us beyond our capability at that time. Our brains are meant to grow. When you add on all this extra stress and these expectations on yourself, you're just doing yourself a disservice. So start small. Do bite sizes. If your goal is to lose 50 pounds this year, don't immediately jump into, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week and I'm going to cut all my sugar out and I'm going to go keto. I'm going to do all these things immediately. It takes time for your body to adjust to all of these changes. Maybe start with getting all your water in and cutting your sugar out. That's hard enough on its own, especially with sugar. Sugar acts like a drug in your brain. Sugar activates different neurochemicals in your brain that is similar or even more powerful than some other drugs that are hard to get off of. Cutting sugar out is going to give you withdrawals. It's going to be hard. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. You can do this. I believe in you, my friend, but do it in small strides, okay? Don't set yourself up for failure. When you do that, then you give yourself the excuse, oh, well, it was just timing, or it was this or that. You still have to hold yourself accountable, babe. You have to be accountable to yourself. And that means not setting up goals that are too hard to attain. If you're setting up an impossible goal, you're going to fail right out the gate. Own that, fix it, and try again. You have to be incremental in your changes. I am owning this myself because last year when I was thinking, 2025 is going to be an amazing year, I said, okay, I'm going to change my life in 90 days. And I started documenting it on TikTok. I started doing a morning routine and things were doing great. I made it to day 47 out of day 90. So I was halfway through and things just kind of went awry. As I mentioned, I gave myself the excuse of I'm not getting enough sleep because I'm on lives too late. And now that's more important to me than my morning routine. And I gave it up. And then people were asking me, hey, are you going to finish the series? Because I really like this series. I'm like, no. Sorry, it's a failed series. So I guess I kind of failed. But here's where I didn't fail. An audiobook that I've been listening to on Spotify Premium is Brene Brown's Strong Ground. One of the topics in the book is failure. I can't give you the exact quote or what page it's in, but I'm going to paraphrase because she also is paraphrasing this quote from another researcher. Failure is a state of being. Failure only happens when you cease to move on, to learn, to grow, to continue moving. Failure is not a permanent status. It's meant to be temporary. When you fail at something, what that just means is it's a learning opportunity. And it's your job and your responsibility to reflect on where things went wrong, how to fix it, how to take everything you learned and create new pathways with it. So for example, with my 5 a.m. morning routine, I can see where it worked amazingly. Where I can see my system breaking down and it not working was when I started doing late night live chats over on TikTok. Can I stop those? No. It's where I find the most success and it's the time I prefer to be live on TikTok. What I could do, however, is limit the hours of time that I spend on TikTok live, set boundaries up so that I can get off at a reasonable time and then go to bed at a reasonable time and create a better routine around it. It's very difficult to do, especially when you're engaging with other people. I think of it as being akin to hanging out with friends. It's hard to just set a boundary around it when you're having fun, enjoying your time with your friends. For me and for my TikTok live community, it's a safe space for us to just hang out and feel connected, feel not so alone in our struggles in being people in this world. If you have TikTok and you like that kind of thing, come hang out. I have it linked below. We have an amazing community over there, so it's very hard for me to set up boundaries, but I do need to be better about it. Plus, it'll help prevent me from going into burnout, which I've done already. I've had a major burnout. I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming video as well as what it means to be a TikToker, because I have a lot of tea to spill about being a TikToker. Anyway, going back to the idea of failure, it is not a permanent status. It is meant to be temporary because failure only happens when you decide to stop moving, when you stop progressing, when you choose to stay there instead of taking what you learn and moving forward and building new goals and trying again. That's what failure is. You're always meant to grow. We are hardwired to grow. We're meant to develop better pathways for ourselves. You just need to remain active in your journey of discovering the steps it takes to be successful. You're going to try something, you're going to keep trying, and you're going to fail. Failure is normal. We need to normalize the idea of failure. Failure is an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to learn. You build, and you implement new systems, and then you try again. You reflect, you pivot when you need to, rinse and repeat. You got to keep going. You can't just stop. That's when you fail. The most important tool that helps everyone achieve their goals is just having a routine. When motivation fails and you have discipline, you can't be disciplined unless you have habits, unless you have a ritual, unless you have a routine. On those mornings where you say you're going to get up early to go to the gym, to work out at home, instead of rolling over and pushing that snooze button, your discipline is going to be, I'm going to get my butt out of my bed and I'm going to go do it. I don't want to. I am not motivated to do this dang thing. But your discipline says, this is the only time I have today to do this workout. Sometimes you have to give yourself a negative talk down and telling yourself, if I don't do this right now, how am I going to feel tonight when I look back at my day and realize I didn't work out? And then at the end of the week when I realize I didn't get all my workouts in, how am I going to feel? I'm going to feel like a failure. Yeah, sure. I can tell myself I'm a work in progress. I'm learning. We have to go back to the accountability. Are you keeping yourself accountable if you just push that snooze button? No, because your learning is not an excuse for not being accountable. You got accountability and learning. You have to have both. And if you don't have one, then the other one fails. You can't move forward without those two. Let's talk about failures a little bit more. I had so many plans to achieve goals by my 37th birthday, which is February 10th. Have I achieved anything on that list? No. But it's not because of lack of trying. While I didn't achieve the goals, I'm holding myself accountable where I failed in trying, where I chose to keep myself in failure. That's where I failed. But I did learn. I learned a lot of things about myself. I learned a lot of things about how I want to show up online for my community, for the online presence that I have within my social media platforms. And I realized that I found something that brought me joy. I just need to learn to have some boundaries around it so that way I can still achieve the things I want to achieve. So I learned boundaries are necessary. So I took time away from TikTok. I took almost a 2-month hiatus from being live, and now I'm back at it, and I have a goal for this year from January to December to go live every day, but to have boundaries around my lives so that way I do not get burnt out. With content and building out my platforms, my goal by the end of the year is to be fully sustainable off of my social media platforms and get myself out of a bad living situation. Is it going to be easy? No. Change is never easy, but I've given myself some grace to kind of ramp up to it. I know that if I get super motivated, I'm going to take on all these ginormous BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals that are too big and hairy and audacious for me to handle this year, and it will set me up for big expectations and big failure. Failure that, yes, I can learn from, but we all need successes. We need those little dopamine hits that give us the motivation that keep going. We have to see milestones. We have to be able to see progress. Otherwise, all that hard work relies solely upon discipline. And there are going to be days and stretches of time where discipline is the only thing that keeps you going. Motivation is out the window. Willpower is struggling. You're struggling because it's hard, and it's meant to be hard, but we can do hard things. Say it with me. We can do hard things. We just have to have the discipline to do them and the mindfulness to not set up big goals that are only going to overwhelm us, overstimulate us, and us leading to burnout. I'm going to push you into a little bit of vulnerability here. Where did you fail in the last year? Even though it's a failure at that point, what can you do to make it a success story? If you feel any sense of shame around something you failed at, remember, it's a learning opportunity. You can always pivot. You can always take that failure, make it active, be proactive in figuring out where things went wrong and do something different and just keep trying. That's the important part, is you just keep trying. You keep moving on because life keeps moving on. Life doesn't stop merely because you fail. You stop because you fail. I hope this video is helpful for you. If you want to also join our Discord, be sure to do that. Our Discord is our unicorn cloud. Come join an amazing community of supportive people who are weirdos, who are unicorns just like me and just like you. I would love to see you there. And if the link doesn't work, sometimes it was a little picky, put it in the comments too. I will respond and I'll get that info to you. So much love to you, my friends. Stay sparkly. Mwah.